I'm sharing screen for the schedule. And today is October 17th and 8th week. And today is the due date for the midterm grade. So I will update your midterm grade based on your weekly case study and attendance and the presentation. Today, Jikaya present chapter 11 and 12 today. And this is kind reminder of a midterm paper and subjective statement and due on this Wednesday. And next week, and we have a second EFE hours and the 9th week. So I thought, you complete your EFE hours at DS Lab School. So you conduct your EFE and assign the site. So we will talk about assign the site and out of campus before we dismiss the class today. Okay. All right. Chikaya, can you share the screen?
Yes. It says only the host can share in this meeting.
Yeah, you can share right now. It works?
Yes, it's turning on.
Okay, good.
Can you see?
All right, hold on. Yeah, we can see. Right.
Okay, so my name is Jakaya Anderson. I'm presenting chapters 11 and 12. So for chapter 11, it's assessing children's learning and development. So what's the purpose of assessments? The purpose of assessments are to improve our teaching and student learning skills, to identify what each student may need to help with their certain areas, to identify students with special learning and or development needs. So this can look like screening, diagnostic testing, also to evaluate quality of programs, lesson plans, and teaching skills, to reflect on what changes need to be adjusted to make better progress, and to keep track of that progress in students' learning and teaching skills. To assess readiness for school, identify if the child needs extra support. It helps to guide teachers, it informs parents, and informs professional development for teachers. So types of assessments, there's formative, which is curriculum embedded and play-based, summative, which is evaluative, informal, formal, observation, which is also curriculum embedded and play-based, performance, which is authentic, dynamic, and standardized, which is readiness, achievement tests, etc. So standardized testing, these are the types of standardized testing. Standardized assessment is the assessment of all children using the same procedures and performing the same tests under the same conditions. Reliability is the extent to which the result obtained from a test are accurate and consistent over time. Validity is the test accurately measures what it's supposed to measure. So for example, the purpose of the test was for students to learn math, and the outcome resulted in the students learning math. This means the test measured what it was supposed to. Criterion reference test basically compares a score to a predetermined level of performance with criterion reference tests. Each person's performance is compared directly to the standard without considering how other students perform. So example are like basic, proficient, and advanced, those kind of tests. Norm reference tests compares scores to their peers. So like basically comparing their scores to each other, to other students in their same level, grade level. So they have normal curve, norming groups representing thousands of different students in the same grade. Standardized tests does have common concerns about misidentification and inappropriate test administration, along with bias in the testing and its negative effects on curriculum and teaching. So how do we evaluate the program quality? So early childhood environment rating scales varies for infants, toddlers, preschoolers, and school agers. Assessing for accountability means holding teachers, schools, and programs responsible for meeting a required level of performance in students. Connections formed between the purpose and the type of assessment will create great evaluation quality. Indicating effective assessments. You can indicate effective assessments by using ethical principles as a guide, making sure assessment instruments meet validity and reliability criteria, making sure that assessment results are used to improve learning and make progress, and tests are paired with the follow-up. So it should always be followed up after the tests are taken with maybe like another test or developing appropriate assessments. So you should be sure to consider the nature of child development, children's sensitivity to the context, reference multiple sources of evidence, increase the comfort of the child, accommodate development according to each child's specific needs, engage children in authentic activities, consider children's different cultural, family, and linguistic background, and make accommodations and modifications for children with special needs. Observation and recording. Observation is the most frequently used method in gathering information. So you can do this by consistently observing, collecting their work, and gather information from family members. How to record these findings. You can make checklists, rating scales, and rubrics, create portfolios for each individual child to reflect on their work and see their progress. This way, they can see their progress as well as the teacher, and descriptive records. Using technology to assist learning. Technology can be helpful. It can be a helpful way for teachers to help them document students' work and their learning progress. So these are equipment such as laptops, computers, phones, cameras, tablets. It's less time consuming and it helps gather information quickly, and the results link to improve teaching and the curriculum. Chapter 12 is about teaching children to communicate. The critical importance of language development. So the language children speak is learned over many years from verbal interactions with adults and other children. Children's speech is usually acquired in the context of their homes and cultural and linguistic community. Children grow to learn language throughout school and life. Children are constantly observing, copying, and mimicking what we do. They eventually pick up on language and the meaning behind it. Types of language. There's receptive language, which is understanding, expressive language, which is communicating and using language. There's vocabulary, grammar, there's syntax, script language, and academic discourse. Language differences in children. Effects of early language experience, which is it leads to socioeconomic factors which influence and impacts children. So socioeconomic factors looks like the family's background, different languages spoken in the household, not being spoken to often, and trauma. Impact of core speaking and listening standards is another language difference in children. So scaffolding. Scaffolding is supporting language development in babies and toddlers by talking to them, having conversations with them. This is something that, an example of scaffolding. Having real conversations with them and not just baby talk. So like actually having a conversation with them, like, and not just like, baby talk when they're like, the baby talk that they do, have real conversations. Modeling language and using complex vocabulary when speaking to them. Engage in one-to-one conversation, extended conversation, build listening comprehension and trust, use interactive books to read, such as puppet books, for example, and read in small groups and whole groups, and use dialogic reading. Teaching dual language learners. So dual language learning means that children are learning two languages at home. Effective teachers understand the process by which children acquire a second language, how best to support children as they learn these two languages, and common myths consist of children must learn one language before they can learn another. Learning a second language delays or interferes with learning the first one, and learning more than one language harms brain functioning. In reality, all children have the capacity to learn multiple languages. The younger the child's brain is, the greater its capacity to learn multiple languages. Bilingualism in children ages 4 to 8 has long-term positive effects on cognitive development, executive function, and ability to think flexibly and solve problems that require taking different perspectives. Stages of supporting dual language. So there's stage 1, which is home language use. This can look like parents supporting and participating in using two languages at home. Nonverbal observational period, telegraphic and formulaic speech, productive language, fluent second language production, and advanced language proficiency. What does teaching early literacy from birth to kindergarten look like? So it looks like creating a literacy-rich environment, early literacy skills, teaching the alphabet, print awareness, early writing, consistent and fluency in writing, book appreciation and motivation to read, literacy and background knowledge, learning to read, and word identification and comprehension. For kindergartners, it looks like experiment with and use early literacy skills. First grade would look like early reading and writing. Second grade is transitioning to reading and writing. Third grade is independent and productive reading and writing. So it gets more advanced over time. Digital literacy is the ability to locate, understand, interpret, and evaluate information from multimedia digital sources. Children of every age must learn to use technology and digital media to enhance all their communication skills, such as reading, writing, speaking, and listening. Understanding the strengths and limitations of various technology tools and media, and choose those that are best suited for them and to their communication goals. Communication through arts. So value of creative arts looks like contributing to cognitive development. It promotes symbolic representation, supporting creativity, and engaging in every child. Visual arts looks like artistic development and learning. Children progress through several stages, scaffolding artistic abilities development, and promoting visual literacy. Music, movement, and dance looks like integrating with other curricular areas, connecting with cultural groups, and it involves memory and sequencing. Drama looks like connecting to a story or a script. It promotes literacy skills, scaffolding, and providing props. And these are my review questions.
All right, thank you so much. I already gave you the review questions. Please provide your response with your evaluation. Thank you. Thank you, Chikaya, for your presentation. Chapter 11 and 12 mainly deal with the assessment issue in children's learning and development. So I simply highlight an important keyword and key concept in chapter 11 and 12, and why we need assessment. And it is a major question for these chapters. So Jikaya already mentioned that we need the assessment to improve our teaching and student learning skills, and is the first one. And also we identify and each student need the help or support for their learning achievement. And third one is identify student and special learning or developmental need and screening or diagnostic testing. And we evaluate our teaching and program and lesson plans and and monthly plan and annual plan based on three developmental domains and physical and cognitive and social emotional. Finally, we keep the track of a progress in student learning and teacher skills. So as a result, and based on our assessment, and we improve our curriculum and program, and also we have some low data to discuss about our children's learning and development with the parents. And another one I want to add is, official report for the state government and the federal government, our, assessment about our program and children's achievement. So it is very, very critical part for the assessment. There are several types of assessment we mainly use. And the first one is a formative assessment. And the second one is a summative assessment. And formative assessment is based on curriculum embedded and play-based. And summative assessment is based on our evaluation. And the other approach, and we have informal assessment and formal assessment. Usually, and formal assessment mainly deal with some major measured student learning and achievement through the some questionnaires and checklists and the standardized test. And informal assessment involve portfolio assessment and based on our observation and any other descriptions about our observation results. And observation is a starting point for the assessment, and curriculum embedded and play-based, and performance-based assessment is based on the authentic evidence and the data for our evaluation. Standardized test, for example, we have some CDCD and school readiness and learning achievement and other tests based on the a normal curve, right? So this is types of assessment in chapter 11. Standardized test is assessment for all children using same procedures and same standard. And there are two concepts and the Jikaya introduced, and reliability and validity. Reliable is believable. So it is a really consistent test result we gain, and accuracy and consistency. And validity is mainly focused on the test accuracy. And this test is appropriate for our students and their learning and development level. The other one and very important concept is a criterion reference test and non-reference test. At first, and criterion reference test compare the score to predetermined level of performance. With the criterion reference test, and each student performance is compared directly to the standard without any considering how other students perform on the test. For example, in basic and proficient and advanced test, and non-reference test is compare the score to other peers. It is easy way to calculate your midterm grade. So, and I will show you, I will post your midterm grade today. So it is a non-reference test, not compared with other students scores, and compare the scores to other peers is a non-reference test. Criterion reference test mainly deal with your score, and if it is 90 out of 100, it is A. And if you are 85, for example, is final letter grade is a B. So it is a criterion reference assessment. So non-reference test And for example, Alaya number 1, Ashley number 2, and Cardin number 3. So, and number 4, Timmy's, number 5, Tamara. So number 1, 2, got an A. Number 3, 4, and got a B. And number, 5 and 6, got a C. So it is based on the, scores, and compare the scores with the other peers. So in Korean university and colleges, and they use the norm reference test and result for their final letter grade. But DSU, and we use the criterion reference test result and assessment. So it is the one thing I want to highlight. Okay, and move to the chapter 12, and using technologies and laptop computers and phone and cameras and tablet PCs to collect the data for your student and improvement. Chapter 12 mainly deal with teaching children to communicate using language and literacy and art. So most critical part for the chapter 12 is language development. So language is a main communication and relationships between teachers and students. So children's speech is usually acquired their context of their homes and the cultural background. It is very, very critically, associated with their cognitive development, logical thinking, and critical thinking, and creative thinking, and abstract thinking. So, according to the Vygotsky, cognitive development theory, mainly, asserted that, our language and cultures are most, embedded part for their children's learning and development. And usually, and a newborn baby use the some basic crying and social smiles, and they started to make a sound and cooing. And after that, and they start to and babbling and try to say something with a meaningful context. After that, 1 word and 2 word sentence and 3 word sentence, mama tata pupu titi, and then and they say I'm hungry and crying, and use their emotional background and tied to their language and word and syntax and sentence and pragmatics. And there are several types of languages and they use. And first one is a receptive language, and based on their understanding, and expressive language based on the speaking and communicating and using language, and vocabulary and power over word and grammar, and they learned about the grammar and logical thinking. And we use the syntax and script language and academic discourse too. So there are a lot of different individual differences and using languages in early childhood settings. So their language skills and communication skills, it is strongly related to the family background and their parents' socioeconomic status, especially education and family income. And different languages and English as a second language, and household use main language in Korean and second language in English, and it is strong indicator to develop their language level. And spoke often and trauma and other factors, and Jikaya introduced. And scaffolding concept. And I already explained about the Vygotsky and cognitive development theorist, and he used the scaffolding, the concept. Scaffolding is, the word from the construction. And this is a building and the supporting system, around the building. So scaffolding is supporting language development in babies and toddlers. And also you should remember the concept of a ZPD, a zone of proximal development, is a potential area to be developed for their cognitive development using languages and based on their cultural background. So how to support, how to scaffold their learning and roadmap and extended through the extended conversation and engage the one-on-one conversation. Pygmalion effect we use when we explain the scaffolding concept. If teacher's expectation is really high and also trust your student achievement and learning goals, and unlimited support and emotional support and verbal support. So it is a part of scaffolding and diagnostic reading and through the and dual language learners and the second language and the bilingual. And bilingualism is very hot topic in early childhood education today. So from the age 4 to 8, and they have long-term positive effect for the cognitive development using bilingualism. Based on Noam Chomsky, all we have LED, language acquisition device. So LED and LED level is most activated during early childhood. So it is a really high time, a critical moment to develop second language and third language. So bilingualism. The younger children's brain is most greater capacity to learn the multi linguistic background and cultures too. There are several stages to learn about the second languages, and the home language use and parent support and participation is most critical part and starting point. Second stage involved to the nonverbal and observational period. Stage 3, telegraphic or formalistic speech. And stage 4, mainly deal with the productive language using vocabulary and syntax and other words. Stage 5, and fluent second language in production, and they have outcomes from the bilingual background. Stage 6, finally, they achieve the best language proficiency. All right, and how to teach early literacy in early childhood settings. Chikaya presented using the early writings and consistency and fluency in writings and reading and comprehension, and first and second and third grade, and they have independent learning attitude and settings. So using the productive reading and writings too. Okay, communication is a last topic I want to highlight in chapter 12. And communication is the most critical part, and using the creative art and music and movement and dance and drama. So communication occurs when we participate children's play and activity, and we can understand what they want to say, what they want to express. So, and through the art and music and dance and drama and the role play too. So, for example, music and art and the integrated curriculum invite the play, and we are teaching students in one integrated curriculum. That means we invite verbal, music, art, and movement, and it is the same as Howard Gardner's multiple intelligence theories approach. So connect each cultural group in our classroom and involve some memory and sequencing, and review together and planning together, and we discuss together. So it is a part of our communication skills. All right, thank you so much for your evaluation. I got your evaluation, Cardin, and your response. Thank you so much for your evaluation, and Ashley. And a helpful way to support teachers in documenting student work and learning progress. Less time consuming demands of gathering assessment information and result linked to the improving teaching and curriculum. Very nice. Thank you so much for your evaluation, Tamara. And the income, and if children's family cannot afford to send their child to a school with the high quality and education and language curriculum, this can affect their early learning experience. Yes, I agree. Alaya, thank you for your evaluation. Okay, yeah, please leave your attendance, leave your response in your chat room for your participation and activity grade. Before we dismiss, and I'm sharing screen for the remaining schedule. If you are late, please highlight important schedule for them. Hold on. And I'm sharing course syllabus here. Okay. And today is October 17th and 8th week, and we have a midterm subjective statement, midterm paper on this Wednesday. So it is a part of your midterm grade and final letter grade too. And next week, and we have a second EFE week. So, and do you have any information about assign the site for your second EFE? Cardin, which site you are assigned for the out of campus and DS Lab School?
I don't even remember my teacher's name. The school I'm not that familiar with, but I did get it. The only problem is that there was like a conference that everyone had with I think Dr. Timmons and Dr. Sewell, and I was not able to get on. So I had questions that still aren't answered. I don't know if you're able to answer it or if any of the ladies are able to help me out, but I already started doing hours at the lab school for your class, and I just don't know if that counts already, and I can just do my remaining hours at the school, or if I have to do all 20 hours at the school.
Okay, I see. All right, and we have second EFE hours and next week, and we don't have in class and online meeting and next week, and due to the EFE week, and you conduct your remaining hours and EFE. Yeah, Ashley, yeah, you have a
I can answer Cardin's question.
Go ahead.
It's 20 at the lab school and 20 in K through 2. So you need 40
Yes.
total.
Clear. Yeah. Okay. And I finally update. Yeah, and you will find your midterm grade on the banner tomorrow, I think so. So, and thank you so much for coming today. And if you have any question about your assignment and the grade, please stay on the line after class. And I will see you tomorrow in admin class. Thank you.